Okay, here we are, the weekly numbers for the Fife property market. This is from the 6th of August to yesterday, the 12th of August. I looked right across the whole Fife property market to assess through all the estate agents that use Rightmove how many properties are actually coming to market by regional basis, compared with how many properties are actually getting sold in the area for each region. Now, the regions I've referred to for people that don't know that is the St Andrews region, the East Neuk region, the Levenmouth region, the Cooper region, the Glenrothes and Kirkcaldy regions, and also the Dunfermline region. So we split Fife into these specific regions. We run micro offices on social media in order to focus on these properties in these areas specifically. That helps everybody search a lot easier and not get lost in translation. We're looking for properties in areas that they're not really interested in at all. If you want to stay in Glenrothes and you want to live in Glenrothes, you follow the Glenrothes Facebook page. If you want to live in Cooper, you follow the Cooper Facebook page. If you want to live in St Andrews, vice and there, so on and so forth, in East Neuk, you just follow the individual page, and you'll actually get to see properties in that area when they come to market. Okay, we're going to talk about that actually right now. First of all, quickly, we'll jump into some numbers. So this is what's happened right across the region. Just let me share my screen here. Let's see if I can find this one. Here we go. Here it is here right now. This is actually quite telling. Okay, so in the Cooper area, there was 18 properties actually listed in the week. That's quite a lot for Cooper. That must have been a huge influx. We could see what that manifests itself out by the end of the month and see where that lands. 8 properties actually sold, so less than half of the properties in the area sold in the same week. But remember, 1 week doesn't make a trend. You have to look at over 2 or 3 weeks, or maybe even a month itself. Last month was a really buoyant market, really almost a boom market, I would say. This month, it might be a wee bit different, but that would even it out then. You can see there in the East Neuk area, for example, 3 properties actually came on the market, and 6 properties actually sold in the same period. So that actually is quite a telltale sign. Demand outstripping supply for that week. St Andrews 8 versus 4. Now St Andrews had a record run actually. Less properties actually coming to market, more properties actually getting sold. So there's no surprise there where 8 properties have actually come on and 4 have only sold in that same week. Levenmouth was similar as well. 19 came on, 13 sold. Dunfermline, 49 versus 51, really doing quite well in the Dunfermline area. And the Glenrothes area, 16 versus 16. Kirkcaldy, 35 versus 26. Now, Kirkcaldy, Dunfermline and Glenrothes tend to be driven by a lot of new builds there as well. That's why a lot of people actually sell and eventually buy in the same area. So overall in the week, 148 properties actually came on. Now, this then reconfirms what I just said to most people, if I keep saying every single time, every single day in Fife, every single day, 20 people make a decision for the first time to sell a property, because it's 148 divided by 7 is just over 20, 21 actually. So 21 people every single day make a decision to buy and sell a property. And then that goes on. Now, not every one of them go on to buy a property, because some are 2 people maybe moving in together and selling 2 properties. So obviously one of them will actually no longer go on to buy another property. So that's one loss. And also deceased estates. So that accounts usually for about 19% of these figures. So 124 actually sold is actually really good overall. Regional area, though, it breaks down into a different picture. But as I say, 1 week does not make a trend. It doesn't need to be like that all the time. And we'll see about that next week. Let's talk about a wee one of the things that I've actually had recently, which is a summer at home. So if you're looking for opportunities to just keep everybody entertained, I know the kids are going back to school this week. Woohoo! All the parents are jumping for joy. Teachers aren't jumping for joy as much. I know teachers have got to go into work tomorrow and start work for the next couple of days. Children go back on, I think it's Wednesday. Anybody could correct me if that's not the case, but I was speaking to a teacher today. She's just like, wait a minute, it's a school night. I can no longer stay out as long. I have to get home. Okay. So we're back to that routine again. It's a school night. We need to get back in time for tomorrow to get up. Okay, so that's what we talked about yesterday, Perry and I. It was called Summer at Home, and it can actually apply to any situation. When it comes to the October holidays, when it comes to the Christmas holidays, when it comes to the Easter holidays, all different round. And then when it comes to the summer holidays next year round as well, it's all things that you can enjoy together and in the holiday period to keep everybody entertained and everybody, so they don't lose track and they don't get bored. So that's actually quite a good blog and vlog, and actually a podcast as well, if you want to tune into that. The sold. Let's talk about what's been sold this week. Now, why do I talk about what's been sold? It's not actually to go, look what we've sold. Not in that voice, actually. I should have just said, look what we sold, but I had to change that voice. So we tend to talk about this because it's important to give anybody an idea about what properties are actually selling in what area, and how quickly and what price they were on it. Because if you've got a similar property to that one, then it'll give you a good indication about whether you should, what sort of price point you're looking at right now. Because it actually might give you a lot more choices. Because you might actually think to yourself, my property I think is only worth this amount, and then I announce it almost 2 doors down from you, it went for this price in this amount of time, and you kind of think to yourself, well, if I got that price for my property, yeah, I might actually sell. So this is why we talk about this one. So let's talk about what was sold this week. If you just bear with me, I'll just get this up and move on to the next one. So this was actually William Street in East Weems. Now, this actually sold in 8 weeks, just under 2 months, which is the standard average just now. This was a 3-bedroom house in William Street, and a terraced house in William Street. And actually, new owners are leaving rented accommodation, and they're joining the property ladder to move into this one. So it's a new person moving in, almost like a first-time buyer coming in and being a homeowner again. So this was listed at offers over £135,000. So if you've got a property like that in the East Weems area, it's similar to the William Street property here, the 3-bedroom terraced house. They're going for around about £135,000. So that gives you a good indication. It's quite a nice property from the front, actually. Okay, the next one, Orchard Grove. No surprise. Huge amount of demand for Orchard Grove, to be honest. There was lots of inquiries for this one. This went in 6 days, less than a week. It was on at offers over £250,000. It was a 3-bedroom, semi-detached property in Orchard Grove in Leven. Away in 6 days, offers over £250,000, and new owners moving into the area for the first time. So it gives you a real good indication about what prices are going for at these types of properties, and what mix of people. Because there's the first one in rented accommodation; they're now buying to move into the property ladder. There's the next one coming into the area from outside, coming to move in to the area. New owners looking to move into the area as well. So it just gives you a good indication about the demand that's available out there for these types of properties. We'll jump into East Neuk now, and we're looking at Craignoon Grove in Cellardike. That was sold in 6 weeks. That's away, just over a month, 1.5 months itself. 4-bedroom detached house. It was listed at offers over £335,000, and it is actually away. And new owners are over the moon with their new home. So moving in, new home. Again, in the Dreelside area, no surprise there. Sold on social media. Let me just say that again. Sold on social media before it got to a website. There's still huge demand at certain price points for certain types of properties in certain areas. And this is one of them for definite. This was sold from social media before it got into websites for an offer the sellers could not refuse. And now this one at Dreelside was on a pre-portal, and it was sold and in the 4-day period. So it's usually 5 to 6 days for a pre-portal. Sold in 4 days. 3-bedroom end terrace house, really finished at a high standard. It was listed at offers over 210,000, and it is actually away. New owners are delighted to move into their new property. So that's another one away as well. So it just shows you, for the right price points in the right areas, properties will actually sell quite well. It's when you're getting up to round about the 300 and beyond mark, that's when the buyer market tends to taper off, because the affordability index gets a bit less in terms of the number of people that can, because mortgage, especially if it's a mortgage, because the amount of people can afford every month now in comparison to what it was at the start of the year, the same amount. At the start of the year, because interest rates were lower, you could get a bigger mortgage for the same amount of money every month. Whereas now it's a lesser mortgage. An example of that would be you can get a mortgage of 200,000, but now it's only about 150,000 with the same amount of money every month. That's because interest rates and base rates have gone up for that for the first time in a long time. Now, base rates right now are around about 5.25%. So, well, they are 5.25%. I'm saying round about. They are 5.25% just now. Now, the thing I've noticed in the market, though, is the banks are still becoming quite creative in their mortgage products. So what they're doing is they're keeping the interest rate low in order to be affordable over maybe a 3-year fixed rate or a 5-year fixed rate deal, but they're making the arrangement fee a lot larger in the beginning, which can be added onto the loan. That's how they do it. So they add the arrangement fee onto the loan because you don't then have to pay that. Therefore, they don't need to work out affordability because affordability is worked out in a lower interest rate. Therefore, it's more affordable to you and they can sell you that product. That's what they're doing right now to be quite creative in terms of the market. Just the arrangement fee at the beginning is a lot more. Now, over a 5-year period, with arrangement fees 3%, for example, effectively what's happening over the 5-year period is you end up paying another 0.6% in interest on that 5-year period. When you think about it, because it's 0.6 multiplied by 5 is the 3% that they're adding on. So if your interest rate was, for example, 5.25, just to say on the base rate, and it was 0.6, then you would be basically what you would be doing is 0.0525 plus 0.006 equals, you'd be then paying 5.85% over that 5-year period. Really, that's in real terms you would be paying. But again, speak to a mortgage broker if you're not really sure about that, or we could put you in touch with them to do that. So that's how the mortgage companies have been a bit more creative in order to keep the interest rates down, in order to keep it more affordable. But they are still stress testing between the 8 and 11% level. So they're still stress testing to make sure that if interest rates continue to go up, then you can still afford it, or if anything changes. They have to make sure liquidity for the banks are actually right as well. But that shouldn't be a problem because equity, the amount of equity stored up in homes over the years with the increase, especially since lockdown, the 30% increase over the Fife area in that period means that there's a lot of equity locked up in these properties. So even if property prices dropped by 20% over the 3-year period, you're still up by 10% overall. So the banks are actually quite happy about that. They're quite comfortable about that. They just need to make sure the stress tests still, and they make sure that people can afford the existing mortgages they're taking out now. Now, if your mortgage is up for renewal in the next 6-month period, you can go back to your bank and do a deal right now, I believe. Check one mortgage broker, but I believe that is the rules now, where banks are actually allowing you to set a new fixed rate deal or a new mortgage deal 6 months before the period is up for your mortgage product to finish, and obviously go into variable rate itself. So, and there's also other things you can talk to your bank about maybe mortgage holidays, holiday periods for your mortgage, for payment periods, which could help you alleviate your cash flow position on a short-term basis, as well as possibly going to interest only on a short-term basis as well, to help you out if you are struggling for that period of time. So definitely speak to your bank or speak to a mortgage broker about that. Do not sit in silence to the last minute, or don't say anything at all, because that's when the inevitable has to happen. So you have to make sure, speak to your bank, speak to your mortgage broker, speak to your mortgage holder, and actually tell them what your current situation is if you might be struggling a wee bit. What is coming soon? Quickly, well, I'll talk about one. Actually, talking about base rates, navigating the latest rate. This is one I talked about during the week, the rise to 5.25%. I actually did an in-depth show on this. So the link is in this post. If you click on that link, there will be another link, because we've got a number of, when you click on that link, it goes to our website and has a number of articles in there. You can click on the one that talks about navigating the latest interest rate rise to 5.25%. Now, really, to be honest, it applies to everybody right across the UK, because this applies to everyone. And it's the best advice on how to deal with that and how to get the best out of that interest rate rise, and what you should be doing right now. Okay, let's talk about what's coming soon. So, coming soon, watch out for Burnside Terrace in Anstruther. 1-bedroom ground floor flat will be coming up soon. Now, everything I talk about in coming soon, we've actually signed up. So it's ready to go. We're getting photographs and descriptions done. A pre-portal will be done in the next couple of weeks, but you could get a head start on this before it even gets on a social media channel. For goodness sake, if you're in the market to look for a property, do not wait on it coming on. Register with an estate agent, badger them about a certain type of property you maybe want. Give them as much information so they know exactly what your best fit would be, and then when something actually potentially comes to on their books, for example, what we're going to talk about right now, then that might match with you now. So potentially as well, if you're ready for an off-market deal, an off-market deal could be done, and these properties actually might never ever see the light of day on social media or any websites. Nobody gets to know about them. Off-market deals. It still happens. We've done one. Okay, so Burnside Terrace, Angela, 1 bedroom ground floor flat. Watch out for that one. Kirtland Walk in Methil, 3 bedroom terraced house in terraced house. Terraced houses are really good. Nethergate and Crail. Oh, yeah, boy. Wait till you see this one. It's on a huge plot and it's got panoramic views over the sea, and it's right next to, I'm going to say it, the Fife Coastal Path. It is a cracking property in a cracking location. Sits in the sun all day long. That's going to be coming. I'm going to be doing the pre-portal this week for that one. Nethergate and Crail. Hill Street in Cooper, a 2 bedroom apartment is going to be coming on. Michael Street in Buckhaven, 2 bedroom ground floor flat is coming on. Ground floor flats, very popular ground floor flats because they could do perfectly for people that are downsizing. They want one level living, so that's why it appeals to them. Craighead Farmhouse in Crail, 2 bedroom top floor apartment. I've actually just put that on recently. So have you seen the pre-portal for that one? It's a gorgeous property inside. And I tell you what, the views from the sitting room will take your breath away. So check out that one on the eSnoop page, the pre-portal that's been done. And incidentally as well, we've got another one, Craighead Farmhouse, on the ground floor coming up, a 3 bedroom ground floor apartment as well. So, and that's got the garden at the front. So that's a cracking location. St David's Manse in Church Street in Buckhaven, that'll be coming on. That is a 5 bedroom detached manse, a house, basically gorgeous. Built in 1850s, thereabouts. It's a huge property with many original features in it, and it's on about a half an acre of a plot. That's how big it is, with potential, possibly, you could probably get another property in these grounds. So watch out for that one coming on. That'll be coming on this week, St David's Manse, Church Street in Buckhaven. Randolph Street in Buckhaven as well, a good sized plot coming on, a 0.3 of an acre. It has potential to develop and put further properties onto there. So that's a bit of land coming on this week as well. And Dove Street in Cellardyke, I went to see that, and it's like, wow, watch out for this one. If you're interested in the Dove Street in Cellardyke, this is a 5 bedroom mid-terrace house, 3 reception, and it's got an elevated garden that goes right up the back. So when you get right to the top, you can see panoramic views all over the place. And it actually has a gate that goes out to the back as well, which you just tunnel along, you go down to the Cellardyke tidal pool, and you're in for a swim. So perfect opportunity. Right round the corner to the harbour as well. I'll not say any more about it. I feel like I'm doing a pre-portal. So Dove Street in Cellardyke, 5 bedroom mid-terrace property is actually coming on as well. Absolutely gorgeous inside. So if you're interested in any of these ones, contact us, message us direct on this post, or you can call us on any of the office numbers and it'll get through to the sales team and they'll be able to deal with that as well. And just tell them you're interested in any one of these particular properties. Register your details. They'll got the information. When we get more information about them to send to you, we will be able to do that straight away. And as I said, you might get in there before everyone else. Okay, let's talk about what's completed as well. That's probably most important. If we can talk about what's completed. Keys handed over. Now, why do I talk about completed? Keys handed over. It's actually the amount that we got for the property we can tell you now, and also how much over the home report value that was. And it gives you a good indication about what properties are still going for in certain particular areas. It gives you a good indication about what you should be offering as well. Because a lot of people still come to me and say, I'm going to make an offer on this property. What do you think I should offer? And I'm like, it's what it's worth to you. That's really what it comes down to. What it's worth to you. And what I mean by what it's worth to you, if I was to make an offer, for example, this is how I use it. If I was to make an offer and it was an offer that if I got the property, I would really think, oh, I've maybe paid too much for it. Then that's obviously the wrong offer you should be making in the first place. But equally, if I made that offer and I didn't get the property, and I thought, oh, I could have gone a bit higher, then clearly that was obviously the wrong offer you were making in the first place. So it has to be an offer that you're comfortable with, and the fact that you know you've put your best foot forward, and if you lose it, then you could hold your head up high and think, okay, I put my best foot forward without any regret, thinking I could have gone higher. And if you do get it, you'll then not regret the fact that you think, oh, maybe I've overpaid for it. So that's the offer you should be making. What that number is entirely up to you based on your own personal circumstances. I can't tell you that, but that's the advice I can give you in terms of what it is. So when we talk about completed keys handed over, we mean it's the property is exchanged, keys are handed over to the new person, and this is what the price went for. So Beach Grove and Ladybank, a 3-bedroom, semi-detached house, it actually sold in one day, and it sold for 8% over the home report value for £205,128. New owners delighted to move in to the area. Again, another person moving into the area. Okay, Bonnygate and Cooper, 2-bedroom terraced house, sold in 2 weeks originally, and it sold for just over the home report value, which represented another £2,500 in the seller's hands. Hey, goes to cover costs, and it was actually a first-time buyer, delighted with a new property. So see the pattern of behaviour here. People coming in from the outside to move, people coming from rented accommodation to move into their house, and also first-time buyers moving into a house as well. This is all very healthy for the property market because it allows that natural flow and that natural cycle. And I could really think about the Lion King when it comes into my mind about the circle of life of the property market, really. And that keeps it going all the time when the first-time buyers, people come out of rented accommodation and buy for the first time as well. It allows people then to upgrade to the next level or possibly even downgrade if they've got a huge property and somebody's upgrading from there to get their property, and then they go downgrade into a smaller property. And that's what keeps that natural cycle going. And that is the true health of the property market. It's not property prices. I'll guarantee you that. The health of the property market is the liquidity of how it moves. So if it moves quite fluidly, and everybody's able to move up and down quite easily, and the finances available as well. And most importantly, is the number of transactions being sold and listed. In other words, if it keeps the same as last year in terms of transactional level, it means all the people that are contractors will be still there in a job because they'll be doing that necessary amount of properties that are actually getting bought, because most people change kitchens, bathrooms, the floor coverings, and they get decorators. And if there's the same number of properties year on year, then the same decorators and that will still be in a job, because therefore they would still have the same amount of work, if that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense. That's why it's important to a local economy and like Fife to have the same number of properties getting bought and sold every year for that reason, because it's a wider and bigger picture for everybody and making sure everybody stays jobs. If less properties get sold, then therefore less kitchens are getting fitted, less properties are getting decorated, less carpets getting laid, less bathrooms getting fitted, therefore less contractors needed, therefore less jobs needed. That's why it's important to keep it. And equally as well, when there's a boom and there's more transactions in the market where more properties are actually sold year on year, it's kind of what for estate agents, obviously you do want that because it's more income. But ideally, to be honest, I would rather have a stability in the market where it was year on year the same amount of properties actually selling. Therefore, it stabilizes the price points as well and actually doesn't overinflate the market. And it keeps everybody in a stable position. That's the best market possible. So that is the true health of the property market. It is not about property prices, really. That only affects it when it comes into finances. When it comes into financing, there's about 25% of people actually unencumbered. In other words, they don't have a mortgage on the property at all. So it makes no difference to them about that. Okay, so other ones as well. So that's the ones as well for sold. We're coming soon, and we've done completed as well to give you a good idea about where we are. Last thing I just want to talk about as well. One of the things I want to thank our customers, actually, before we go into the Wealth Creation Show. I want to thank our customers because it's allowed me to contribute today to some of our charities and organisations. So a couple of the charities were actually spoken to today and actually given contributions in terms of what we've contributed to them. So one of them was actually the Stand, which is all about dementia. It's a local charity based in Fife, and I will post up something later on in the week about that. And they've maybe posted something on their page as well. So we've given a contribution towards them. The Buckhaven Rotary Club, Buckhaven and Methil Rotary Club, we've given a contribution to them as well, because they do a lot of good in the community as well. They do a lot of clothing for people that really can't afford to buy any other clothing. So they do a lot of that, and they do a lot of good in the community. And also the Kennyway Star Hearts, or Kennyway Heart Star, I'm not really sure, 14 group. The girls actually, we've paid for all their strips today to get strips for them for their new season, and help them out to get them up and running. And so good luck to the Kennyway Star girls and their football team as well. So that's only possible because people like yourself use us to sell, to rent property, to sell, to rent property, and more importantly as well, to our tenants for using the property, because obviously that contributes as well, and also to our buyers as well, who contribute because they buy our properties, and therefore we generate income, and that allows us to put a lot more back into the community. So over the last 5 years, we've managed to put over £100,000 back into our local community by what we do as an organisation. And this year, because if everybody joins together and uses us to do what we're doing, we're hoping to achieve £35,000 in our local community. So if you're actually a charity, local community group as well, then by all means email us at info@fifeproperties.co.uk, and we'll take that on board. And then when we come to our next allocation, in terms of funding, then we might be able to help out, no matter what it is, from zero to whatever. Typically we'll go from £0 to £1,000 to help somebody out. But there's some projects where, for the East Nuke, for the play parks and stuff like that, we've managed to do a lot more, because we've teamed up with people like Lochie Homes, we've teamed up with people like Alan Thrupp, who's actually done a lot as well in the community, and that he's used us as well, and that's allowed us to make bigger contributions towards the East Nuke areas for that reason. So if you're an organisation, again, if you're a house builder or anything like that, you want to team up with us and allow us to give us more back to the community, by all means, our doors are open, and we'd love to see if we can work together and allow us to contribute a lot more to our communities in terms of what we're doing. After all, at the end of the day, when it comes to it, no matter what we think about money, it's probably the most talked about subject everybody talks about every single time, and it's more than likely the lack of money. And this nicely brings us on to the Wealth Creation Show, actually. So Richard and I at Wealth Creation Show, we've decided actually to talk tomorrow, episode 84 of the Wealth Creation Show. Yes, we've been going over probably for a year and a half now. We've been doing Wealth Creation Show. So every single week on a Monday at 12:30, Richard and I, or a guest as well for Richard or I, depending on who's there at the time, but we both work together on this. We're going to be talking about tomorrow about, do we need to actually sacrifice everything for success? Now, that really hits home with me and resonates with me, because there's been a lot of sacrifices over the years I've done in order to succeed at what I'm doing. And I'll talk about that tomorrow. But I'll also talk about, do we really actually need to sacrifice everything? Or is this just something that everybody says? It's like, without sacrifice, you can't have any victory. Without failure, you can't have any victory. Is this actually true? So the sacrifices for success can't be measured with any amount of money, really. More often than not, to achieve greatness, you have to pay either emotionally or socially. In order to achieve what we really want in life, we have to make sacrifices. Or do we? What things do successful people sacrifice for success? We're going to talk about that tomorrow. And how do you make better use of your time to achieve your goals? Again, we're going to talk about that. And I said, luckily, you don't need to head back for school. This is based on personal experience of myself, and also on a numerous amount of people we've plugged in terms of mentors and books we've read over the years, in order to give you this show and put it all together as kind of like a wee mini masterclass in terms of, do we actually really need to sacrifice everything for success? You might actually resonate with this completely tomorrow when we talk about this, and we'll look forward to it. You can ask questions on the way as well when we're live on the show, and if it's relevant to the show, we'll answer it there and then. If it isn't, we'll keep it till the end, and we'll answer it for you at that point in time. Thanks for listening, guys, and until next time, I'm Jim Parker for Fife Properties TV.